Hello and welcome to Tea and a Buddy podcast with me, Dominic.
And me, Erica.
And it's a very spooky episode.
I was going to say that. I was thinking a very spooky Tea and a Buddy podcast.
A very spooky Tea and a Buddy podcast today. Ooh. We're going to be talking about Halloween traditions.
Halloween.
In Britain and America.
Yes.
The UK and the US.
Yes.
I think it basically came from over in it's an old Celtic festival anyway. Mm-hmm. Old Celtic pagan festival. Like all the old things were ripped off of pagan festivals. And commercialized. Overexposed and commercialized, as the traveling Wilbury said.
Basically, Christianity had everything to do with it. They wanted to cover up these pagan or overshadow these pagan festivals.
Yeah, so they they designed to make them around it.
Yeah. So they invented All Hallows Day.
All Hallows Day to rest on to come after the Samhain festival.
Yeah.
Which was an old Celtic festival which involved bonfires and just signaling the end of the harvest or the beginning of the harvest.
Just the change.
The change in the day and the night,
just the fact that it's
the days getting shorter,
Right, yeah. I think it was just to do with
shorter days.
And it was something about, because the nighttime lasted longer or it came earlier or something, they sort of looked at it like a time rift, which is very advanced for the time period, but
they didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, they thought, it's blackout early, you can't see anything, so maybe in that blackness,
no street lights in those days,
spirits from the past might be able to escape out of the past. So
and they might come and get you.
Yeah.
Like the bogeyman.
Or whatever. No.
The boogeyman.
I didn't even know if it was like scary like that necessarily. I think maybe it was a little scary, but it was just like you were seen to be able to communicate with the spirits of the past,
Yeah.
Because they could come, but I think you could also get trapped in, so there was a little bit of a scary aspect there. Yeah. Because,
people didn't want to get trapped in the past or die or whatever it was they thought was going to happen in this blackness, this void.
Mm-hmm. So the Christians invented All Hallows Day on November 1st, so then therefore the 31st, which had been the pagan holiday, became known as All Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve, yeah. And that was up for a while. That was what it was called for a long time, up until like maybe the 19th century even.
It basically just got shortened and shortened. I mean, Halloween is just a...
Yeah, Hallows Evening, Halloween. Halloween!
Yeah.
And, well, I mean, it took off over here, really. I mean, in Britain it was kind of like... Halloween was... the same sort of thing as it was over here, but it was more of a low-key affair when I was growing up anyway. I mean, we talked about it on the last podcast.
Well, I mean, I think a little bit more of the history, our celebration of Halloween is sort of taken from you guys' celebration of Guy Fawkes Day or Bonfire Night or whatever. Which is we'll have a separate podcast about that.
Separate podcast, because that does not exist over here. So.
No, not at all, which is funny.
Because I think it originally started like that over here. There was kind of like a celebration of it with the Puritans and everything, but then it quickly died out.
Well, I mean, it died out as Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Day or whatever. That didn't exist, but they took things from that.
Elements, and to create the Halloween we know and love today.
Yeah. So, like, bonfires,
fireworks,
Yeah, well, we don't really do fireworks, but fire can be associated with Halloween.
That's kind of become a tradition on Halloween, funnily enough, and I don't know if it's because of bonfire, because if they start selling the fireworks a week before or whatever, and people just want to let them off. But on Halloween, you always knew it was kind of like Halloween night in Britain. When I was kind of growing up, when I was like a teenager, that people would start letting off fireworks on the Halloween night.
Well, over here...
Even though, it was like 5 days to bonfire,
Yeah. Over here, you can get fireworks. I mean, you can hear them, firecrackers, rather, more so than fireworks. Like, nobody's going to be looking at a fireworks display or anything like that. But you get firecrackers as part of the trick part of trick or treat. You know, people can be setting off smoke bombs, stuff like that. It's just like the little pop firecrackers. Yeah, that'll be part of the trick in the trick or treat, you know.
And I mean, over here, it's like the traditional thing is pumpkin carving.
Mm-hmm.
Pumpkin carving.
Yeah.
And
oh.
Yes. It's just been a theme. This
guys,
whole Halloween.
If you're on Instagram and you go into the music portion in your stories, this has nothing to do with anything except for the fact that it's stuck in mine and Dominic's heads.
Well, it's stuck in your head and you keep doing it, so.
Just type in pumpkin and a song will come up called Pumpkin Carving. I don't know if it's an actual song or if it's just somebody in his house recorded it.
It's an earworm. It's an earworm.
But it gets stuck in your head anyway. That was his pumpkin carving reference.
Pumpkin carving, yes. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much what it is. But I think that was something traditionally adopted over here, you know, because pumpkins are softer and the carving and everything.
Yeah.
But back in the old days, it was a turnip or a swede.
Yeah.
You'd carve it out of a turnip, you know, the jack-o'-lantern or whatever they called it, yeah. But over here, you know, it's become pumpkins. And in the UK now, it's pumpkins as well. If you see someone carving a turnip, you know, they're just doing it because they want to be edgy or whatever. You know, they want to be, traditional. It was a pumpkin or a swede.
The jack-o'-lantern, apparently it comes from like an old story that there was a guy named Jack who was such a
bad guy.
Such a butt, even in hell, that, you know, nobody could take him. They were like, get him out of here.
Get him out of here.
And the devil felt sorry for him and gave him a flame, which he carried around in his turnip, and that was like his little lantern, you know. And so jack-o'-lantern. I don't know if that was European story or British or...
I don't know what it was. I don't think I've really ever heard it, really.
But nowadays, yeah, so pumpkins are obviously the big thing over here, but I've seen the trendy things like you mentioned. They're carving them now out of pineapples,
anything that can be hollowed out, really.
Grapefruits, you know,
a candle or something stuck in them, you know.
Yeah, I don't know how you would stick a candle in a grapefruit, but I've seen people carving grapefruits.
Yeah. Anything with like a hard shell, really. I mean, a pumpkin's got a hard enough shell to do it, you know. I mean, we did it the other year, and ours was pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
I liked our pumpkin.
We like our
I never really did it growing up. Halloween, as I said, wasn't really a big thing. I mean, yeah, you go out trick-or-treating, but I think most of the traditions and stuff that has been adopted in America came from, like, ancient Scotland.
Yeah.
You know,
the Scots and the Irish apparently brought over most of...
all the immigrants to America from Scotland and Ireland brought all that kind of stuff. In England growing up, and Wales even, it was just kind of like, it was just another night, really, to me.
So if we have any Scottish or Irish listeners, I would really be interested in you letting us know whether Halloween is a big thing over there or not, because Dominic doesn't really remember it in England and Wales being that big a deal.
But when I lived in Scotland, it was. I mean, I was a kid living in Scotland, and we went to this Halloween party in the church hall on the Isle of Arran, and I was in primary school, and I remember it was like, you know, this tiny church hall, and all the kids were there from the area I lived in.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff going on. There was games, there was costumes, dressed up in costumes. You know, we did a little bit of trick-or-treating beforehand. There was, you know, food and stuff, and apple bobbing is one of the traditional things.
Like a
and they'd made the water look like blood. I remember, and they'd stuck like green apples or whatever in it, you know. And you know, the apple bobbing is basically you have to get it with your mouth. I remember I got one, but it kind of just like. It came off, you know, I took a bite out of it and then I grabbed it again, you know, I grabbed the one and I was like, oh, I got it. And then just like, oh, well done. And I was getting up. And then one of them goes, oh, someone's taking a bite out of that one. But I didn't own up. It was me.
I was, you know what? I'm a bit of a germaphobe, just as a little aside there. And this may be part of where it came from, because I can remember as a kid, I think it was at school. I'm not really sure. Maybe it was some kind of like thing at my grandma's church or something, but I remember only doing it the one time, bobbing for apples. And I remember thinking, this is so disgusting. Everybody's like stuck their faces in here and like
drooling.
Yeah.
Their mouths are open.
Tried to bite more than one of these apples, and then I'm going to bite one after them after somebody's had their slobbery mouth all over it. Yeah, I remember being like thoroughly disgusted by the whole thing.
Thoroughly disgusted. I never thought about it, honestly. I just went ahead and did it. I mean, as I said, you know, it was just kind of like one of those costume competitions and all that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think I seem to remember I went as Dracula one year. Or a vampire, and I had like the blood. I had like glow-in-the-dark teeth.
Oh yeah.
I'd whitened up my face and I had blood, and my hair was all slicked back, you know. And I had a cape and everything, and I looked really good because and they were all like, "Oh, Dominic looks really good because he's very tall, and he's very tall for his age, so he makes a good little vampire eye." And so that was what that's what I remember doing, you know, that thing. But yeah, I don't remember really carving any pumpkins or anything. I remember them being around, but I don't remember
seeing them.
I remember seeing them.
Did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never.
Well, I mean, that may have just been like your parents didn't want to mess with it. You know?
Yeah, I think it was mostly that.
A lot of parents don't because it's messy. You know, it's like
messy.
You buy a pumpkin, you do this. It's messy.
It's hours of work.
A lot of kids don't like to get their hands in there because it's like slimy and you have to dig
Gunge.
it out. Yeah, and then what? You just leave it on your porch to rot. You know, most of the time, most people don't even eat them or turn them into anything. So it's a bit of a waste of money, really. But I like it.
I mean, over here, Halloween has become synonymous with just commercialism. Yeah. You know, and that's kind of what's going into the UK now. It's become like a commercial type holiday. Mm. You know, there's a lot of parties. There's and I mean, usually it's just kind of like dressing up on Halloween. You know, a lot of people like to dress up as, in Britain anyway, like dress up as traditional monsters and you know, witches, ghosts, you know, vampires, all that kind of stuff. But over here it's like
I love dressing
anything goes.
Yeah, I love a costume. So I really like Halloween for that. And you know, you have a lot of people going, "Oh, Halloween, it's a kids holiday. Why are you dressing up? You're an adult," you know. And it's just like,
it's kind of been turned into an adult's holiday though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, traditionally it's gone back and forth between being a kids and an adult's holiday, you know. Back in the day, like I think it was like the Victorian era or something like that. I've seen a History Channel special on Halloween, you know.
Loves the History Channel specials.
Back in the day, I think it was like in the Victorian era, people would it was mostly a holiday for adults, and they would get together and have parties and dress up, you know, masquerades, you know, and the kids would just be like there. But then the kids started over the next couple decades or whatever, the kids started making trouble.
Yeah, because they had nothing to do, because the adults weren't minding them, weren't watching them, so they decided to cause a bit of trouble.
And Halloween became like a thing for pranks and everything, and you know, it was a big deal in America. They were causing a lot of destruction all around the country, pretty much, until eventually, basically, I think the government kind of pulled together and was like, you know what, we need to make this like a day that focuses on giving kids things to do so that they're not like throwing rocks through people's windows and like setting people's
houses on fire.
Barns or houses or buildings on fire, and like really getting into a lot of trouble.
Just causing a lot of scrapes and japes.
Yeah, so a lot of towns and cities started creating Halloween carnivals, and it became a very
buying off the kids with the trick or treat. Treat. You know. In Scotland, funnily enough, there's this thing called guising, or geezing, or I guess guising. Guising is the term. Yeah. And I think it traces back to a time when it was thought by disguising children in this way, they would blend in with the spirits that were abroad that night.
Oh, that's interesting.
And, you know, children arriving at a house so disguised would receive an offering to ward off the evil spirits.
Oh, that's funny.
And, you know, you'd go out and trick or treat, but you'd have to show a talent before you receive the treat.
Yeah.
reciting a poem or doing a dance or singing,
Oh, yeah.
and then you'd receive a treat. I vaguely remembered that in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
Vaguely remember one Halloween doing that in Scotland or seeing someone do it. I don't know if I sang or whatever, what I did, but I do, I do vaguely remember it kind of being a thing. You gotta to receive the treat. You gotta do something. What you good at? Come on.
Yeah, as I mentioned in our candy podcast that went out on Tuesday, I'm totally up for giving any and everybody who comes to the house in a costume candy. But I want them to be in a costume,
Oh, yeah,
it's
costume. That's cute.
I mean, I get that costumes are expensive to buy, but my favorite costumes are homemade costumes anyway. The store-bought costumes.
So if someone's put a bin liner on...
Well, as long as they can make it into something, yeah.
Usually that's what people did in Britain. You just dress your kids in bin liners in a trash bag and out they went. Even if it was freezing bloody cold.
Even if they're wearing like a sheet, they could cut a lot of holes in it and be the who was it in the Peanuts Halloween? The Peanuts Halloween. Yeah, the Great Pumpkin. Who's like, they put the sheet on, it's all full. I think it might have been Charlie Brown, actually.
Charlie Brown.
It was all full of holes. But I like a costume, and I like people who put effort in and, try to make a clever costume.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't care how old they are. You can be like, you can be 70 and knock on the door. As long as you have a costume on, I'll give you some candy. I recently read somewhere, or I can't remember where I heard it actually, that trick-or-treating over here became a bigger deal after World War II because when the sugar rations stopped. And so kids were like, yay, sugar. Everybody can have sugar again. So they were going around at people's houses collecting candy.
It's so funny that there was ever rationing over here.
Yeah.
Considering,
Yeah, we did it because it was just like,
everybody's doing it, Better get on that rationing.
Well, whatever.
I mean, I don't know, but yeah, in Britain, the rationing didn't end till early 50s, or the mid-50s at least. I think, what was it, 1954? Someone can verify that.
I don't know, but, that's what I was going to say is I just recently read that or heard that, but I don't know if that's true because I'm pretty sure people were trick-or-treating before World War II.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I'm sure I've seen things before
Victorian.
where they talk about costumes and stuff, and it was much sooner than that. Everybody had homemade costumes. Everybody's mom could sew. So all the kids' costumes were made by mom until like the commercialization started and companies started realizing, we can mass produce these costumes,
make money off them.
Yeah, and
decor as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Halloween decor and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, the decorations, you guys. If you're not in America, you would be really shocked, or if you have been to America but years ago, if you've ever been around here at Halloween, you would be so shocked. I mean, it shocks me actually because it's quite different from when I was little. People go all out with Halloween decorations. Yeah, they do nowadays. Yeah,
it's kind of like a Griswold type thing.
Yeah, it's almost to the level of Christmas decorations.
Decorations, yeah.
And I mean, I've heard before people say that they prefer Halloween over Christmas. So it's they go all out for Halloween and then not for Christmas.
Yeah, I guess so.
Which, I mean, to each their own,
I never really saw it. I mean, spiders, webs, but I mean, some people did it.
We had it. We had like the cotton spider webs. It would come. It was just
that spray stuff.
It was.
That looks like spider webs.
Oh no, we had this big. It was like basically a big ball of cotton in like a Ziploc kind of bag. You would open it up and then you would just like attach it to wherever and just pull it and stretch it and it would look like that. It was so messy though, especially if you put it on the outside of a lot of the houses here in Austin. Well, even if you had a brick house, it would be the same thing, or stone or brick or whatever. And if you stretch that stuff across, it looks really cool. It looks really kind of almost genuine if you can get it thin enough. But then it'll rain and it just looks absolutely disgusting. It makes the biggest mess.
I mean, yeah.
I've never seen the spray kind.
I think I've seen it. I think I've seen people doing it, actually.
Spray? What, like a silly string
like a
type
silly
stuff?
string type thing,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
I think it
interesting.
comes out like you can do it like a spider's web or something.
Yeah.
Um,
There's one house that we take my niece and nephew to at Halloween, like almost every Halloween. And they decorate it all up like Harry Potter.
Hogwarts,
yeah. And
they sit out on the porch in their
in their
Hogwarts robes and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so people get really into it. I mean, they make even like lights now. You can decorate your house with like little ghosts hanging down.
They even have those things that like project onto the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And they project like scary faces and stuff.
Skeletons.
And they look like someone's in the room screaming or something, you know.
You can people put them in their windows.
People put them in the window,
it
yeah.
It looks like, ooh, a ghost is coming by, or like somebody's looking out of the house. I mean, it's actually pretty cool stuff if you're like super into spooky, scary things and like Halloween and all of that. You know,
one year there was this one up our street, and it was the guy, he had the bucket of candy on his lap, but it looked like a mannequin, like a skeleton.
Yeah.
Or it looked like something, you know, it just looked like a skeleton and stuff. And the kids went up to it, you know, and they were just like, oh, just take one, you know, like that, you know, and they thought, oh, it's just a mannequin, you know, it's just a dummy. But then, you know, he moved or something, and he just goes, here, take one, and they screamed their heads off. That was pretty good. Whoa! And they ran away, you know.
Yeah. Speaking, you just reminded me of something else we have to mention. Speaking of take one. People over here in America, I don't know if they do this in Britain, but if they're not home or if they just don't feel like opening the door to every single trick-or-treater, they might put like a bucket of candy on their front porch with a little sign that says, please take one.
Yeah.
That's the most stupid idea.
The bucket would be gone.
Even the bucket.
Even the bucket would be gone in Britain.
They just use it as their trick-or-treat.
It would be gone even as before they'd even close the door after they put it out there.
Yeah.
It would be gone.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, you're very trusting if you think kids are only going to take one. Please take one.
Oh my God, I know.
It's like, yeah, okay.
They did that even when I was a kid, so that's not a new thing over here. But
it'd be like Greg's putting out sausage rolls and saying, please take one.
They would always literally be gone. Oh my God, I just saw a commercial though for those Ring doorbells.
Oh, yeah.
They have a new like Halloween commercial, and they've set
ring the doorbell and it screams or something.
No, but the Ring doorbells have a camera in them, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the people are inside the house, and they're like having a party or whatever. So they've just put a little bucket of candy on the door that says, please take one. And there's like a skeleton holding it. He's sitting in a chair and he's holding the bucket. And so this kid comes up and he's going to take the whole thing. But the person inside the house is watching the whole thing on their phone, because that's how you see the video with those Ring doorbells.
Yeah.
And so he's like, please take one. Please, just take one. He's like doing a scary voice, you know. I said, just take one. And the kid's like, running around the house. And he's like, oh, no, it's okay, kid. You can come back. You can take more than one. But I thought that was pretty funny. That's sort of a way to combat it, I guess.
Yeah, that's a way to combat it. It's like, we are watching. Yeah, because one
yes.
year we went around. This is over in America now. This is, you know. One year we went around.
We go with my niece and nephew almost every year.
And we went to this place. And it was like, please take one. We are watching you, or something. Like, we know you've done what. We know who you are.
They had theirs in a chair. They had their bucket in a chair, like at the end of the driveway, and in front of like the back of the car. And then in the back of the car, it said, "We are watching you." Like they had written it on something, I can't remember, but it was in the window.
Yeah, it was in the window.
That was so creepy. And my niece swore, "Oh, those people are in that car, and they are seriously watching. That is so creepy." She was like, "Let's get out of here."
Yeah, that was strange, because it's like, we are watching you. It's like, okay, you know.
Yeah, and all the lights in the house are off and everything.
Why do you bother putting it out then if you're not going to do it? Yeah, it was just a case of like, trying to scare people.
You know, if you're not home or whatever, it's just like, just leave your front porch. This is how you know.
Your front porch light off. this is a good idea, right? You just buy all the candy, right, and eat it all yourself. Don't
So-
give it to the kids. Don't waste it on the kids. Just eat it all yourself.
So I don't know how you know in Britain, but in America, it's like if your front porch light is on, you're participating in trick or treat.
They just know.
Usually.
If you live in a terraced house in Britain, then you don't usually have a porch light.
So you just knock on every single person's door?
And they can choose whether to answer or not.
Huh. That's interesting.
One year, I remember getting knocked on the door, and they lifted up there and it goes trick or treat through the letterbox, And you could be sitting there with like a water pistol or something, like Victor Meldrew, like Victor Meldrew or Home Alone, yeah.
BB
Victor Meldrew is the grown up Kevin McAllister.
But so that's what we would do. You would leave your front porch light on if you're participating. You turn it off if you're not participating. And then the kids just don't even bother coming to your house. But it was always disappointing going up to somebody's house who had the front porch light on. And then you're just standing there for ages waiting on them to come to the door, and they don't. Yeah. And you're just like...
You just wasted 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's like I could have gone to 5 other houses.
Or they come to the door and they
say
look
we're all out.
They look through the thing because usually indoors in Britain you've got like the thing. They look up and they go, "Oh, it's just trick or treaters. Don't bother answering the door."
Or they're just like, "Oh, sorry, we ran out of candy." It's just like, okay, turn your front porch light off. What are you doing? But
are you new to Halloween?
But I know a lot of people, like in New York City or
Halloween etiquette.
Cities that have like apartment buildings, but they're all indoors. There would be no way to
unless kids just went around from the apartment complex went around.
No, what I'm saying is there would be no way to know whether the people were participating or not because there's not like there's front porch lights in.
But they wouldn't be able to get in, if it was kids from.
No, it would just be the people in the building. Yeah. In the building, but that's what I mean. Like kids in the building might trick or treat.
Imagine you were the only kid in an apartment building, and everyone was participating in trick or treat, and you got to go around like 200 flats and getting all that candy. You'd have that pillowcase. You'd just be like that, dragging it down into the elevator.
Do you have any idea how popular, this is sort of switching topics now from trick-or-treating, how popular haunted houses are in Britain?
They kind of pop up with like circuses or fairs or stuff that come through town. I went to one.
But do they just do it at random times of the year, or is it only around Halloween?
Maybe only around Halloween. Yeah. I think, like you can go to like a fair, they can set it up. And you can go into a haunted house. It's usually around Guy Fawkes Night, though, because that's the biggest draw for people.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that's become the big holiday.
If you don't know what Guy Fawkes Night is, don't worry. We're going to have a podcast.
We're gonna talk about it. Don't worry. We're going to talk about it.
So haunted houses are big over here. I've never actually been in like...
I've been in like a
hardcore
pop-up one, you could call it, in a fair, but...
Because some of them over here, I have heard, can go quite overboard, actually. And like, kids aren't even allowed in because the displays are so super gory and
grotesque, and and it's really scary because someone will come out and chase you down.
They'll chase
corridor.
you. They'll grab you. I don't like
the grabbing one's a bit. Yeah, that's a bit. That's bad.
Yeah, I've heard people have been punched before because people get so freaked out and they just, it's just like a reaction and they just punch the person.
But the guys grabbing, the actors or whatever playing the scary people grabbing, it's like that's a grey area because you could be grabbing a woman or something, and it's like you're not allowed to do that, that is verboten now.
But haunted houses are really, really popular. I think they make a lot of money. They just open up around Halloween, like maybe from the end of September to, the middle of November or something. And I mean, from the beginning of September to like the middle of November or something. And I think, I think they make a load of money at that time of year. Another thing that was really big when I was little, and we kind of talked about this, were just the carnivals.
Yeah, that's carnival's what I mean by fair. So it's like a carnival. Yeah.
Carnival games like beanbag toss, or I can remember the little game where you would like turn over a duck or something and see if you got the number.
Coconut shies.
In a little swimming pool.
You have coconut shies?
I don't know what that is.
You got a little, like, conker or something. You throw it at a coconut, you know, and you can knock it down. I think you win the coconut. I think that's what you do. I think you win, or you get coconuts. That's old-fashioned, anyway.
There'd be costume contests, yes. These
the Hall of Mirrors, and, you know,
yeah. These are kind of very
I remember those kind of things.
I remember there was one, when I was little, they every year had what they called a cake walk. And it was basically like musical chairs. You'd go around these things on the ground, and then, like, when the music stopped, you would have to be on one, and otherwise you got kicked off.
Win a cake?
Yes. The last one would win a cake, or, you know, they'd run it every so often, so there were a bunch of winners. You could play it multiple times.
It's kind of like Pass the Parcel. That was a new thing for you, wasn't it?
People in the town would donate the cakes, and they'd be decorated like Halloween.
Yeah. It's that sort of thing.
Pass the parcel. Yeah, we'll have to mention. That'll be a Christmas episode.
Yeah, that's a Christmas kind of thing. But I seem to remember we did it sometimes outside Christmas as well. I remember doing it a lot in school. It was like, oh, let's do a fun thing, and I don't know who had the thing of like, oh, let's wrap this present up. I think it was like always like a pair of gloves or something. But we'd always go, oh, we're going to play Pass the Parcel, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's same as musical chairs. The musical stops, you pass, you know, and you stop, and then you get to unwrap. Some kids tried to unwrap more layers than they could, you know, and it's just like, no, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Give me that. Start the music, Margaret. You know, it was just like very, you know, very competitive.
Yes.
But yes.
Yeah, I think we could actually probably keep going on this subject.
Yeah,
but it's Halloween and we got to get out trick or treating.
We got to get out trick or treating. We need that candy. Have you got your pillowcase?
Yeah. Let us know. Share your pictures if you're going to dress up, or if you already have, tag us in it, because I want to see what you guys are. I love looking at people's costumes.
Tag us on Twitter, tag us on Instagram, you know, DM us, whatever. Let's see what you look like this Halloween.
And guys, today is the last day to enter the British Snacks giveaway.
The very last day.
Yeah, in fact, it ends tonight at 11:59. We will not accept any entries after 11:59.
After 11:59, it's all over.
Yeah.
You cannot get in.
So make sure, if you have not entered yet, to go ahead and do that. And we will be doing the drawing on, well, I think we'll probably film the drawing for our social medias. We'll put it on the social media.
We'll film it, yeah. Me pulling something out of a hat or whatever.
I don't know when. We'll have to figure that out. But anyway, we'll announce the winner in our podcast on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So whether the video will come in conjunction with that, maybe.
Yeah.
Because we want you to listen to the podcast to see who won.
Yeah, we want you to listen to the podcast to see who won.
Yeah.
And also, you know, we might do a live stream or something, you know, just to like... You know,
something, yeah.
Like
that
a
would
live
be
stream,
easier,
yeah.
Probably, yeah.
The live drawing.
Yeah, so if you're not following us on Instagram, that's probably where we would do it, I think. Unless maybe Dominic's thinking YouTube. I don't know. But
YouTube, Instagram, I think.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, we like Instagram. We do a lot of stories over there. So you guys get kind of extra content if you follow us on Instagram. So we are at TButty, TEABUTTY.
Why?
Yeah. But anyway, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Thanks for listening as always.
Yep.
And we'll talk to you next time.
We'll talk to you next time in November.
Yeah.
For Bonfire Night.
Bye.
Bye.